Namaste. Some people have asked me, how can we begin the meditation? We need a bit of help. So there are many popular techniques for that if it is required. The simplest for me was just closing my eyes and witnessing whatever arises, any thoughts which arise, mundane thoughts, thoughts during the day, work-related thoughts, witnessing whatever arises. A more popular technique is observing the in-breath and the out-breath. But it has to be a passive observing, not forced, not like a punishment, not with too much concentration, just riding with the breath. Yet another way to slip into meditation is with the in-breath, visualizing light coming in. Think of the sun perhaps, bright light. And with the exhalation, light going out. And between the two, the light is held. So, light coming in, held, light going out. Sometimes when Maharaj was asked for technique, he understood that some people need techniques, although his whole teaching was not about techniques. And so he said that you could recite something like, so you sit down, close eyes and say, I am luminous. I am like ether. I am pure and I am indestructible. So two things happen when we start in any way which appeals to us. If we are finding difficulty in slipping into meditation, one is we are taken away from the mundane talks by the mundane thoughts by the technique. So it has created a gap, a split from mundane thinking, because the focus has now shifted. And then, because one is now away from mundane thinking, one is resting more and more in being. Conscious being, conscious presence. Mundane thoughts may still come, not to be fought, not to be battled with. As Joel Goldsmith says, withdraw all opposition to what is. Let it be allowed. And so meditation becomes an allowing of what is arising right now in this moment for you. And an important point of the practice of meditation is to have it at a fixed time, not to keep changing it as per convenience. So, to choose a time and adhere to that to the best of one's ability, because it sets the clock in motion. It happened to me once that I forgot it was the day of meditation. I was meditating once a week. Suddenly, I found myself being very cool and calm, and I was feeling so fresh. And then I realized that it was the same half an hour which I was used to meditating. I forgot about it, but the rhythm of the body, the memory of the body recalled it. This is with anything that we practice. Driving, for example. So, a bit of sincerity and discipline in the practice yields amazing results. You can come out of the meditation now. After the meditation, you might find a kind of heightened state of awareness. So it's best not to immediately get into an activity like switching on the TV or picking up the phone and talking to a friend. It can get fragmented. So rather to slip into an activity if there is one coming up, take a couple of minutes and then gently slip into whatever you are scheduled to do. And that way you will find that you are taking the meditation into that activity. So sensitivity and gentleness helps one not lose the quality of meditation. Rather, it enhances it. All right. If anyone would like to ask anything or share something about their meditation, they are welcome to now. Yes, Anita.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Gautam ji. Namaste. I feel oscillations whenever I meditate. I tend to oscillate a lot. So it's been like, even I have done meditation priorly, before this, and it's the same thing. It's continuous. Whenever I sit in the, at times, even if I sit in the Padmasana position, I start oscillating.
Right.
And being a Swami Samartha Bhakt, I have already always gone to Mutt. So even when I go there, it has happened a lot of time. It's good. I know it's. I mean, I feel good after that. But I have always having this question, like, what happens and why this happens. Also, when there is the middle point of meditation, I feel so heavy. I feel so heavy that at times my heart beats faster, and then after some time it gets slower, and then I'm into a very beautiful state.
All right.
So I have these two questions.
So the oscillation is the energy which is rising, creates the oscillation. You see, because it is in a vibratory field, like let's say you are at the Samadhi of Swami Samarth. So, where the energy attunes to the vibration, it rises and it creates this natural rhythm of oscillation because you have no control over it. It happens,
Yes.
you see. So, the same with meditation. The energy is being allowed to do its work. And as part of that process, the oscillation, the balancing going on within, the circulating of the energy is happening on its own. So, one important point to remember is don't try to stop it because that would be exercising doership.
Okay.
Allow it to be, because it's surely not uncomfortable.
No.
So the process has to be allowed to do what it knows best. The energy has to be allowed that space. Now, your second question about the heart beating faster at the midpoint. This we might need to explore a bit deeper, because generally what happens is that the rate of breathing and the heart rate starts coming down as one slips into the meditation. So if you are reaching a midpoint, it is possible that because the energy is rising, it rises to a point, and that is the maximum point, and then it starts dropping away. It could be, or it could be that there is some internal thought process taking place, which is creating the heartbeat going faster. So it could be that there's a sense of doership being exercised in the meditation till a point, and then the relaxation comes. Now, which of the two it is, if you explore it, you'll get the answer to that.
Okay. I'll
And we
try.
can discuss it at the next meditation. It's very interesting, and thank you for sharing it, because people go through similar experiences,
Yes.
and there's something to benefit for everyone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gautam ji.
Thank you. Yes, Usha.
Hi, Gautamji.
Hello.
I think you have partly answered my question that I'm going to ask you. It is when I am as presence, as beingness, I find that energy is rising, but it gets like stuck in my throat area. And I find that maybe it is undoing itself. I get a lot of clicking going on in my neck area. So can you comment on this, please?
So it is actually doing its job, because you see, the throat is one of the, in chakra terminology, is the center of expression. So if the energy has reached there and is needing to work on it, so to speak, again, it has to be allowed, because the energy is highly intelligent. It is not the intelligence of the human mind, it is the creative intelligence. And so it's actually a good indicator for you, because the awareness is there in the meditation that something is happening here. You find so many times in public talks, you go or to an opera, let's say, music opera, and you start hearing people cough. And that's the same thing. It's the energy which is reaching here, and the voice of expression, so to speak. And so if that is also just witnessed and allowed to do its job, is very important. Don't try to suppress it. Don't try to be proper and say, oh, this should not happen, and all that. Allow it. That is why I come back to the tenet of the teachings of Maharaj, Ramesh Ji's, witnessing. All that is needed is witnessing, because otherwise the thinking mind of the ego comes in to try and undo a process which has happened, which was in any case not initiated by it. So that trust is required. So like you felt it in the throat, someone may feel it in the stomach, someone may feel it in the heart. It could be in any of these centers. It differs from person to person.
So when I'm feeling all this, does it mean that my throat chakra is blocked and it's unblocking now, you see, in meditation?
It could be. It could be that at a certain center, the energy has to work a little harder. But either way, there is no point over analyzing it. You see, because then we start developing a story.
The mind. Yeah.
My
Right.
throat chakra is blocked. Why is it blocked? What is the energy doing? It's okay as a point of interest, or maybe to note down in a diary. That's even better, actually, because over time you may see different processes unfolding. But the point is that this meditation is the goal, so to speak, is to abide in being. We should not lose sight of that. It is not to unblock chakras, it is not to watch what's happening. Ultimately, we are saying, why are we doing this? Because in our daily living, we want to bring that quality of witnessing into what transpires in our life. Situations at work, situations with people, relationships which trigger us, and abiding in one's being. If that quality is developed during the course of the day, the quality of witnessing, then the so-called purpose of meditation is met. Because after all, it is about living a life of peace and equanimity.
So what you're saying is let whatever happens, let it happen. Be okay with it.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. One last question. Yes, Devika.
Namaste, Gautamji.
Namaste.
So today, during the meditation, I felt that I was observing the witness, and I didn't feel a sensation, but that was the I. That was me. That's all I have to say. I don't know what it means, but and later on when the thoughts came, about the ego me, they seemed a little bit far for a few moments, but now they're kind of more together.
So you see, the ego cannot observe the witnessing.
Yes.
The awareness of witnessing might be there.
Yes. And that's me.
That's the me with the M caps, not the M lowercase.
Right.
You see? So
Right.
that can happen. The awareness, you see, because it's a tricky thing, Devika. The question would arise then that who is aware of the awareness? You see, it becomes a perpetual regression. So
Yes.
let's say that when witnessing is happening, there's an awareness which by and large is the witness awareness. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And then that being, that conscious presence is then taken forward as the little me.
Yes.
So that is what I think you have described, because that primordial awareness is certainly not in the control of the ego. Because the minute the ego steps in and says, I am aware, it has claimed this position of being aware of something, which is what the ego does. The ego claims, I am aware. So,
I was sorry,
no, go
Gautamji.
on.
So I was seeing ego as a third person, and ego was also taking ownership of the awareness.
Right.
Okay.
No, but where you have begun could be a most beautiful space. So if you just think for yourself or see that in that moment when the awareness of witnessing was there, was that pure awareness, or was it tainted by the ego claiming I am aware of the witnessing? It's very subtle.
Yes.
So if it is the former, it is a most beautiful thing you have described, because that is the all-pervading awareness. And that is what would really create in daily living the gap between experiencing and being. Because then one would have the ability, so to speak, to not get engaged in the drama of life, because one foot is already in awareness, so to speak. That's what would happen.
So I felt that distance for a few
Yes.
seconds.
Yes, that's beautiful. Because
Okay, I'll observe.
you got a taste of
Yes.
one's true nature.
Yes.
My teacher would call it a free sample. Great,
Thank you so much.
Most beautiful
Yeah.
sharing today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming into my life. Your teachings, they came at the most opportune moment when I was going through a lot of relationship challenges. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. You have to thank the teaching.
Yes.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.